Dr. Lena Hayes awoke to the relentless sound of her alarm clock, its shrill tone cutting through the remnants of a restless night. Rubbing the sleep from her eyes, she slowly pushed herself out of bed and shuffled over to the window. The first light of dawn painted the sky in soft hues of orange and pink, announcing the beginning of a new day. As she prepared for yet another shift at Crestview Hospital, Lena reflected on her journey as a physician. At the age of 35, she had earned the respect and admiration of her colleagues and patients alike. Her dedication, empathy, and unyielding spirit were well known in the bustling hospital halls. Yet, lingering doubts occasionally plagued her. Was she truly making a difference? Was she doing enough? With a determined sigh, Lena left her apartment, her mind still swirling with thoughts. In the hallway, she crossed paths with her neighbor, Mr. Jack Wilder, who always greeted her with a warm smile and encouraging words. Jack, a man in his 50s, was impeccably groomed and well-dressed, radiating a contagious positivity that made him a favorite among everyone in the building. "Good morning, Dr. Hayes. Ready to save some lives today?" he called cheerfully, his eyes sparkling with genuine warmth. Lena managed a tired but sincere smile in return. "Good morning, Jack. I'll do my best as always." As they descended together in the elevator, Lena couldn't help but admire how Jack seemed impervious to the world's troubles, a beacon of happiness in her otherwise demanding life. The day at Crestview Hospital unfolded as expected, filled with the usual rounds, patient checkups, and the occasional emergency. However, as the afternoon sun began to dip in the sky, an urgent call pierced through the routine. The emergency room was on high alert. A patient was arriving in critical condition, a victim of an apparent overdose. Heart racing, Lena dashed to the ER, her mind focused on the challenge ahead. When she arrived, her heart dropped as she recognized the familiar face lying motionless on the stretcher. It was Jack. His usually vibrant complexion was now pale against the stark white sheets of the hospital bed. "Co Blue, we need to stabilize him now," Lena shouted, her voice steady despite the chaos. The medical team surged into action, working tirelessly around her as they fought against time to save Jack's life. Hours passed like an eternity, filled with the sound of machines beeping, frantic footsteps, and the tense atmosphere of desperation. After what felt like an endless struggle, the team finally stabilized Jack. Lena sighed with relief, though a new wave of questions began to swirl in her mind. How could someone who always seemed so joyful and content find himself in such a dark place? In the days that followed, Lena visited Jack's room regularly, her heart heavy with concern. Each time she entered, however, she was met with a cold and bitter response. When Jack finally opened his eyes, his reaction was not one of gratitude, but fury. "What are you doing here?" he rasped, his voice laced with contempt. "A woman like you should know her place and not meddle where she wasn't called." His words struck Lena like a physical blow. Caught off guard, she stammered, I'm your Dr. Jack. I'm here to help you." Jack let out a humorless laugh that echoed painfully in the sterile room. "Oh sure, the heroine who saved the day, right? Well, nobody asked for your help. You should have left me alone." Despite the sting of his harsh words, Lena took a deep breath, determined to maintain her composure. "I understand that you may be confused and frustrated, but we can talk about this. I'm here to help you." Jack turned his face away, refusing to engage with her. Feeling the weight of his hostility, Lena left the room with a heavy heart, her mind racing with unanswered questions. What had turned her cheerful neighbor into this bitter man? What pain lay hidden beneath his facade? Days turned into a week, and Lena continued her visits, each one met with Jack's cold demeanor. Still, she clung to her professionalism, even as his words left scars on her spirit. One day, while checking his vital signs, she resolved to try a different approach. "Jack," she began softly, "I never imagined you were going through something so difficult. Your strength has always impressed me." For a fleeting moment, Lena thought she saw a glimmer of vulnerability in his eyes, but just as quickly, it vanished, replaced by the hard mask of bitterness. Appearances can be deceiving, can't they, doctor? No one really wants to know how we are. It's easier to smile and pretend everything is fine. His words resonated deeply with Lena, striking a chord within her that echoed her own doubts. Determined to understand him better, she discreetly asked other hospital staff and some neighbors about Jack. Through these conversations, Lena uncovered the truth behind his charming exterior. Jack had lost his wife, Eliza, to a sudden illness a few years prior. Since then, he had built walls around himself, presenting a facade of happiness to the outside world while grappling with profound grief. Armed with this knowledge, Lena approached Jack during one of her visits, sitting beside his bed rather than standing over him as a doctor. "Jack," she said gently, "I can't imagine the pain you must be feeling. I want you to know that you can count on me, regardless of what you're going through." At her words, Jack's expression softened, and for the first time, she saw the man beneath the anger, a deeply wounded soul. "You have no idea how much it hurts," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. In that instant, a connection formed between them, and the dynamic shifted. Lena was no longer just a doctor. She was a listener, a fellow human being showing genuine concern. Gradually, Jack began to open up, sharing stories about Eliza, the dreams they had once cherished, and how her absence had rendered his life devoid of meaning. Lena listened attentively, providing him the space to express feelings that had been locked away for far too long. She shared her own experiences with loss, creating an environment of empathy and understanding. As the days passed, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The hostility that once characterized Jack's responses gave way to silent gratitude. Though he still had moments of bitterness, he was now more willing to confront his feelings. By the time Jack was ready for discharge, he was a different man from the one who had been admitted. There was still a long journey ahead of him, but he seemed more prepared to face it. "Thank you, Lena," he said, using her first name for the first time, "not just for saving my life, but for helping me see that there are still reasons to live." Lena felt a swell of pride and humility. "You did the hard work, Jack. I was just here to listen." In the weeks that followed, Lena monitored Jack's progress closely. She encouraged him to seek professional help for his grief and depression, and she was heartened to learn that he had started attending a support group for individuals who had lost loved ones. One sunny afternoon, while walking through the park near her building, Lena spotted Jack, sitting alone on a bench, watching children play. Hesitant, she approached him, unsure of how her presence would be received outside the clinical setting of the hospital. "Can I sit?" she asked, her heart racing slightly. Jack looked up and nodded, a small smile gracing his lips. "Of course, doctor, or should I say neighbors?" Relief washed over Lena as she took a seat beside him. "How are you?" she asked softly. Jack sighed deeply. "Every day is a struggle, to be honest. But I'm learning to live again, one step at a time." They shared a comfortable silence for a moment, watching the joyful chaos around them. Then Jack spoke again, his tone serious. "You know, Lena, I never properly apologized for the way I treated you in the hospital. I was in a very dark place and took all my anger out on you. I'm truly sorry for that." Lena felt her eyes welling with tears. "There's no need to apologize. I understand. What matters is that you're moving forward." Jack nodded, a hint of a sad smile on his lips. "Eliza always said that life is too precious to be wasted on bitterness. I think I'm finally beginning to understand what she meant." In that moment, as they sat together in the park, they transcended their roles as doctor and patient or distant neighbors. They became two souls navigating the complexities of life, loss, and the transformative power of compassion. As the sun began to set, casting brilliant colors across the sky, Lena reflected on how saving a life had sparked a profound journey of healing for both her and Jack. She realized that the act of healing often extends beyond the physical. Sometimes it involves mending the heart and soul. With the sounds of laughter and joy surrounding them, Lena and Jack found comfort in their shared understanding. They had embarked on an unexpected journey of healing and growth, a journey that underscored the resilience of the human spirit and the extraordinary power of empathy and compassion.